Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Testing for class first class in FAR320 and FRS138 Intangible Assets. So before we start the class, so we start the Al-Fatihah and send all the good news to our prophet, our parents, and our friends, and also other Islam Muslim. Fatih, Auzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin arrahmanir rahim maliki yaumiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in ihdinas siratal mustaqim siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghairil maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin. Amin. Okay, we are lucky today because of we make about half an hour from now to discuss about first chapter intangible assets. Intro class. This is intangible assets. So the student can answer in Bahasa Melayu and also can be Bahasa in English. So what you actually know on the intangible asset?
Yang saya tahu intangible asset ni dia macam kira dia berkaitan dengan property lah. Macam aset yang macam jangka masa panjang.
Okay, good. And then when the student answer the correct or not, I will discuss on this chapter for around half an hour. And I think it's a time of half an hour is not much. Okay, because this is the first class, and then but you get something because of this first class. No need to long hour. And then next is you have to make sure that we cover about two sessions, 1 hour, 2 hours. And for today it's just half an hour because of we have another meeting now after that. Okay, intangible assets. Then you can see the screen. So this is what intangible asset is covered in MFRS 138, Malaysian Financial Reporting Standard 138. So we have numbers of notes in MRS from 1 to until 1B 138. All right. So 138 is say about the intangible assets. Okay. This is the outlines of the intangible asset. Okay, you can also refer to book Company and Group Financial Reporting 9th edition from author Jane Laza. This is Jane Laza is a lecturer from I remember it's from UITM, and then have already retired. And that now this book is this book or this reference is used by the financial accounting students actually all over the world. And this book is published more than 35 years to accommodate needs of students of accountancy. Okay, so first of so the book is more on financial accounting, group company and group accounting. Okay, I think this book is for chapter 4. It's not appropriate in this chapter actually, because of this company and group financial reporting. Then we are relying on this note, okay, only, and also the passive questions. Okay, passive question because of this in the passive question or last time's questions. one question from this chapter. So can we zoom it? Intangible, because of we have to identify the tangible asset and intangible. Tangible asset is for physical, or what we call as fixed asset, tangible. For example, land, alright, properties, equipment, and for intangible, so you can jot down the notes. So intangible, is meaning is opposite of tangible, is intangible, alright. It's not tangible. Some sort of tangible. If tangible is fixed assets, but intangible is not. What can you identify? Can you explain to me what is the actually fixed asset? For example, a vehicle. So what you know about vehicle actually? Vehicle account.
Kalau macam kalau vehicle tu dia macam apa tu, macam berkaitan dengan kenderaan lah. Macam kita beli untuk berapa harga dia, cost dia, dengan berapa tahun yang kita nak gunakan. Dia ada kira macam ada dia punya susut nilai dalam setiap tahun nanti.
Okay, very good. But the most important thing is the tangible asset is you can see. Alright, you can see the vehicle in your eyes, as your eyesight view. You can, because of, for example, your car is your asset. It's your tangible asset, and you can see, you can feel, you can touch. Alright, but and also you can value. For example, you buy, as you said, you bought the car about 50,000 ringgit. Then this is a tangible asset. Then what is the tangible assets characteristics is, for example, you have cost, alright, depreciations, and subject to depreciations, and also you can see, you can touch. But intangible asset is you can identify, you can control, and they have future economic benefits, and also cost can be measured. The very difficult thing is cost can be measured. You want to identify or identify cost. What the cost of the intangible? For example, is goodwill, brands, mastheads, and publishing titles. Okay, you can what you call goodwill. Goodwill is always in your remember, okay, in always in your mind. It's not difficult. Goodwill, for example, the company. The company you have carried out about 5 years. You have your own customer. Like for example, your shop in your village, your grocery shop, kedai runcit. So the kedai runcit have their own customer. Because of, might be you can remember your hometown or your place that you stay in your house, just nearby to your house is have kedai runcit or grocery store, is it? Some of the grocery store have different size, okay, different size. Okay, but you prefer to go to small one, It's either A and B. You prefer to go to
Oh.
small one, because of this grocery shop is you feel better to go to this shop because of might be the how they welcome you and also the service, and you very easy to liaise with this company. And opposite of that, B is much bigger. For example, Speedmart, and then but you go to the this one because of your you can might be the price is more than B, and then this is what you call the company have their own loyalty customer. That's why when you want to sell off the company A, because of the owner of company A want to sell off, want to close the business, or want to what we call to transfer to the ownership to other person, then we have to calculate the goodwill because of the goodwill is difficult to evaluate. Okay, this is what we call goodwill, nama baik. For example, KFC their own goodwill. KFC have their own goodwill, right? And McDonald their own goodwill. That's why when you want to buy the McDonald KFC, you have to pay also the goodwill. For example, KFC they have their own what we call asset. For example, equipment, buildings, then the accounts of KFC must consider or must accounted for goodwill. That's why the goodwill. Okay, because of the goodwill is what we call as intangible. You get it? What the example of tangible is, one of that is intangible, one of that is goodwill. Okay, the goodwill account. So this is what we call intangible. It's not the tangible. It's not a fixed asset. It's non-current assets, but is falls under, is categorized under intangible asset. Alright.
So maksudnya ni kan,
Hmm.
ni pun ni untuk recognize juga lah kan.
This is how you recognize the intangible.
Kalau yang ni, yang no recognize,
Okay, very good. So this you can divide the tangible on okay. I think I miss of this recognitions and non-recognition. So intangible is either recognition and non-recognize. So recognize is for non-recognized, for example, goodwill, brands, must-have, and publishing title. But for recognition is different than this. This one is non-recognition, recognized. Non-recognized because we are difficult to recognize. For example, recognition, for example, intangible is investment. You can recognize that their investment is for example ASB. You invest in ASB, then that one is recognized. You know the figure, and you know the company that you invested for, and but there's no recognition is internally generated. Everybody is from the management of company have to identify itself because the outside never know the figure. Even auditor also is difficult to answer it. So this is internal generated goodwill. Brands, for example, brands Adidas. You wear the what brands you wear for your shoe?
Nike.
Nike. For example, Nike is because of you very comfortable for that. All everybody in the world This is brand number one brand. That's why the brands and so when I refer the definition of masthead, right? Is one of these the highest part of a ship's mast or the lower section of a mast. The title of newspaper or magazine at the head of the first the title for example this is a masthead. For example in your bulletin utama, okay, bulletin utama at the first before first 1 second of airing, there are, or any in your magazines, must headed, okay, must headed. So very the most important thing in a newspaper or magazine, printed section usually located on the editorial page that detail the title and address of the publication. So must have. The kalau dekat khabar tu in the newspaper, this very in front of page that the advertisement is, for example in bulletin utama, what you see the most advertised in the bulletin utama, for example Sony, yeah, and Xperia, alright, so Xperia, okay, ada advertise bulletin utama.
Maksudnya apa? Macam
Contohnya nama. Kalau kat contoh iklan baru boleh baca berita, ada iklan tu. This is yang dia nampak tau daripada bulletin utama. Company lain macam contohnya bulletin contohnya kalau macam di pemain badminton kan, Yonex, dia dapat hak lah.
Kira macam dia punya logo dengan
nama dah dia dapat Formula 1 tu kan, dia dapat hak tu lah, hak penyiaran dan sebagainya. Okay, so must have and publishing title. This is internal generated. Okay, and also intangible, intangible is research and development. Some of the company or majority of the company of Malaysia is not focusing on research and development. For example, car maker, for example Toyota Japan, Toyota from Japan. The most important things of the company, of the factory, have their own research and development. Some company is not like even R&D department have. Some of the company even don't have any R&D. That's why R&D, some of the companies not, for them it's not important because they can survive without R&D. But for your future, for your go into international, the company, for example iPhone, Google, alright, Toyota, all these big companies must have their own business and development because of it look like the company have their own sustainability, can continue up to when up to any time. sampai kiamat.
So
So
maksudkan macam research independent ni dikira boleh intangible asset
dianggap sebagai this, it can assume as our intangible asset. But some companies not assume as asset. That's why it's very difficult. And R&D is either write off or capitalize. Capitalize means capitalize. That means that your question is you can figure out the amount of the R&D only if all six criteria are met. What is criteria? So this is all will be covered, alright, will be covered throughout this chapter. Okay, I think it's very difficult to you to understand before we start the notes. So I just will call give the overview of the intangible asset. And I didn't answer all your needs, these questions, because of we'll cover on this chapter. Okay, for example, impairment. Impairment is you want to reevaluate the cost. For example, the cost of aeroplane. Alright, this is not our discussion on intangible because our plane will be what we call can be impairment. Impairment, I think the aeroplane cost is might can change. We will impair. We will reevaluate the cost. For example, you have already calculated the cost of the aeroplane is 1 billion, 1,000 billions. But after 5 years, our cost minus depreciation is still have the value of 500 million. But all everybody has know that the value of the aeroplane is now is about 400 instead of 500, and our actually the cost is 400. Then we have what we call impairment loss. The cost that you evaluate is, I think, is much more lower than you calculate. Alright. And then this is our we will discuss further along this chapter. Okay. All after completing the topic, you should able to define and provide example of intangible asset. Second, discuss the recognition criteria of intangible asset. That's very difficult. See, you have to recognize the criteria. So, what is the criteria of intangible asset? Okay, determine the initial cost of intangible asset arising from specific situation. What the initial cost? What the meaning of initial? Initial is permulaan. What is the cost of starting or initial cost? And for identify the discuss of the recognition and non-recognition. So this is recognition and non-recognition as of internally generated intangible. The intangible asset may have their recognition and non-recognition. These two types, two different things that you have to elaborate more. And then number 5, he explain the subsequent measurement of intangible asset. What the another or what is the further measurement of the intangible asset? Alright. Explain the useful life in the infinite and finite, amortization, and this is some sort of the depreciation. So for tangible asset is depreciation, but when we want to calculate the useful life of the intangible, it can name it as amortization and residual value of intangible asset. Alright, indefinite and finite. Indefinite maksudnya tidak apa, selama-lama kita tak tahu tempoh dia. indefinite because of the company is very strong. For example, at that time, Kodak company. Nowadays, Kodak company is become obsolete. It's not. At my time, the company was very popular, Kodak, and now they doesn't have any names of Kodak because of become obsolete because the customer use the no need to print, right? Because we have the camera, you can see the picture from the Facebook, Instagram, no need to print out. At that time, we don't have any Facebook or social media. We just trust the printing. All right, you take your pictures and then you print out from the Kodak company. Right? Right now, the customer can rely on to the Facebook. You can see your picture in the Facebook, don't need to print out. So the company of Kodak become, I think, is affiliate or become obsolete. And indefinite, I assume that what the company you thought you figure that they have their own or long life.
like proton.
No, but I think next 10 years you it's not it's a good example. Another brand, it's not Malaysia.
Malaysia, iPhone.
iPhone might be very good because iPhone now it becomes the number five, and then the owner of they have three owners. One of the owner have died already, but the company is still growing up. Good, very good example. iPhone, and Microsoft,
So
Facebook,
Google.
Google, Toyota, Honda, okay? KFC, McDonald's. I think this the big very big companies can categorize under indefinite, alright? Discuss the disclosure requirement of intangible asset under FRS 138. Okay. So what this disclosure requirement is might be the readers of the annual reports want to more explanations of this intangible asset. That's why this intangible asset reporting might have next requirement or disclosure requirement, another add of the notes. Okay, so we have left of time about 5 minutes, going to 12:30, and then we end up here, and then we continue after this slide and next class. Okay. Alright, I will. Hopefully, you can understand a little bit of the